I think artists are born and not made. You're going to be drawn to it because you just are. My name is Chauvin, and I'm a matte painter. Been doing it digitally for 30 years, mostly television industry as a matte painter. So I've always had an interest in art, particularly in drawing and painting. I have a bachelor's degree, a fine art degree, and then I went back to graduate school and got a master's degree in art. And it was just through serendipitous relationships I ended up getting a job at Industrial Light and Magic, and then from there moving off on my own and moving here to Washington State and creating my own company. Been doing that for the last 29 years. Most of the work I do is in television. Ones that I really liked, I worked on 5 seasons of Lost, done I think every season of Alias, Pushing Daisies, X-Files, 3 different Star Trek franchises, Next Generation, Voyager, and Enterprise, Breaking Bad, worked on Better Call Saul. Matte painting is a subset of visual effects, and visual effects is a part of the filmmaking process. It allows the filmmaker to tell a story. How do I put this? Doesn't sound crass. It's the cheapest way to tell a story. So if there's a scene in a film where there's got to be a spaceship landing in someone's field, it's going to be kind of hard to just happen upon that happening in real life. And you could build a ginormous set piece and have it, or you can just have somebody do it in post-production and create a little small model, and you photograph that and combine it with a background plate of the field, and you got the same thing. And so that would be the more direct way to do it. It's mostly really about giving more production value to a scene. And so if you just hire one guy to create a painting that creates all that scope and production value, it's way cheaper than actually building it as a set, but maybe even be cheaper than like finding a real location somewhere. The one thing I love about my job is that every shot is different. I'm an artist, but I think one of my strengths is being able to figure out the best way to get what the client wants in the time I have to do it and with what they're willing to spend to get it done. And sometimes it's something pretty straightforward where I'm just literally just taking an existing photograph and manipulating it to get it the way they want. Sometimes you have to build a 3D model and use that as part of the picture making process, or I'll just buy a little toy tank and photograph it and then put it in the shot, and it works just great. That's part of the problem-solving process, is figuring out what is the most expedient way to get what they want. I work alone, so it's not like I'm working with a team of people. I got to figure out what works best for me. And the important thing is that I get the job done, in the time that I have to do it. The one good thing about visual effects work is generally there's something to work from. There's what's called the plate. There's what they shot on the set. That for me helps tremendously, having something over, because they've already established the lighting, they've already established the focal length of the lens, they've already established the camera angle, all that's already done. So all you have to do is match to that. So as far as composition, that's a lot of it right there. It used to be, like when I worked on Star Trek, a lot of the time they would not only have a plate, but they had an art department. So they would send you concept art of what they want the final shot to look like. It's like, well, that's super easy, because now I have a roadmap. I just have to make it look like that. I would say that the shots that I work on kind of fall into 3 buckets in terms of what they're mostly based on. The first bucket is just straight paint work. There was something they gave me, and I just keep working on it, brute force in Photoshop until I come up with something that they're happy with and that they want to use in the show. The second bucket would be something that's stock photo based. And so there would be like a scene that takes place in London or in Paris or in Iraq. So what I would do is we needed to have things that were not hitting you over the head with a landmark, but something that told the viewer, oh, now we're in London. And I would just go to stock photo sites and see what I could find as a starting point. And that'll be sort of like the basis, and I can put it in there and kind of see if that's going to kind of get me a rough idea of where the shot's going to go. But there's other times where it's like there's nothing available photographically, and so you just have to build it in 3D. Of all the shots that I've done, I'd say maybe like 30 or 40% have some kind of 3D element in them, and sometimes they're entire 3D. The way that I work, if I'm creating a building that doesn't exist in real life, I would rather take the time to build that in 3D and use that as an element in a painting, even though it's just a static image, than to just try to paint it. Inevitably, the client will always have some note. Oh, can you change the lighting on that? Can we change the camera angle? Well, you can't do that if you just painted it. I think for most people, they should pursue any creative endeavor because they find personal enrichment and enjoyment from doing it. And I've been extremely lucky that I've been able to find a vocation that has allowed me to scratch that itch and get paid for it at the same time, to the point where now I can work on another form of art that doesn't pay me anything, but I enjoy doing it.